Good afternoon, viewers. We are live on Facebook. Good afternoon once again. I'm Anil Khandelwal. As you know that for the last 5 days, we have been having sessions on different topics on health, on wellness and well-being. And I'm sure you have had the privilege to listen some of the eminent speakers on different topics which are of great relevance in today's running, the jet life and also in the backdrop of COVID pandemic. Now, in order to continue this event series, we have two eminent speakers today joining on a very interesting and important topic, which is importance of nutrition. Food is medicine. Let me introduce first Shelley Mehta. Interestingly, she is joining from US and the time zone is 3:30 exactly in the morning. And many thanks, Shelley, taking so much of efforts to join this conversation on a very interesting topic. Before that, let me just share her introduction. Though whatever I'm going to say is not enough to talk about her, she has a great enriching experience behind. She is an experienced nutritionist, holistic practitioner, an entrepreneur, marketing innovator, and internationally connected consultant. She has founded, partnered and held leadership position across several organizations in the nutraceutical domain, medical devices, procurement and packaging, med technology, marketing agencies. And all these positions, she has developed and launched products, overseen compliances, supply chain coordination, marketing, strategic initiatives, and so on. Most recently, she is working as a marketing strategy and branding consultant for mid-sized medical and life science companies and agencies. We are privileged to have Dr. Shelley Mehta all the way from India. And thank you so much, Dr. Shelley, for joining this session at a very early morning over there.
Thank you so much for having me.
Our pleasure. Another speaker, we have Dr. Smriti Gupta, very young, vibrant doctorate in the biochemistry with specialization of biomarkers in COPD disease in Delhi NCR population. During her tenure of research, she worked on genetic and blood biomarkers playing significant role in COPD. She has many research articles in various international and national reputed journals. Along with this, she has an experience of teaching in a university system for more than 6 years and experience working with medical tourism industry. So this is what brief I thought to share versatile speakers we have. And as I said that the topic is of great importance of nutrition and food is medicine. Well, before I hand over to Shelley, I would like to just add an opening remark that good health is the most valuable possession one could possibly have. And it's also true that we are indeed capable of healing ourselves. We are the best doctor and our kitchen is the best clinic. In fact, we had, Shelley and Smriti, we had a very interesting conversation the other day by Dr. Sharat Kasarle, who spoke about that, all these, kitchen ingredients, spices, plants, herbs, extract, the cooking style, the divinity, while cooking the food and serving with the most important ingredient, love and care. All these things, they become highly nutritious and they are the true medicine, irrespective of whatever life challenges which come in as the body has to age, obviously, but nutrition and food can play a very, very important role. And coupled with that, we also had a session yesterday, which was talking about the yoga, right? Which is again very important, which talking about in reference to yoga means meditation, connecting within self. And probably if we, talk of whole person healing, which is mind, body, and spirit, probably there is no need for any doctor. We become the best doctor for ourselves. And, I don't want to take away much time. Already it is 3:30 or 3:40 in the morning over there. And I would not like to burden Shelley more on this. Straight away over to you, Shelley, to listen to you. Very keen to listen your words of wisdom on this topic today. Over to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Hello, everybody in the WOW community. I am so excited to be speaking today. And as Anil rightly said, food is everything. I'm going to move on and show some slides, but one of the most important references to food that I first experienced in the medical side of things was when I opened my medical textbook, and the first quote was there from Hippocrates: "Let food be thy medicine, and medicine be thy food." So this was the first statement made in the medical system. And every medical book has started off of that statement. It's very, very important. I'm going to share my screen here. So we can see here.
Shelley, are you there? Yeah,
I'm
Shelley?
sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah. You are back. In fact, we missed you for a minute or so. If you can just,
Sure. Sure, there we go. How's that? Okay. So if we're talking about COVID, and that's the basis of what I'd like to talk about today, because we saw a lot of things happen. We saw illness come. We saw it come in very mild ways for some people. We saw it come in very strong ways for other people. There is no set standard. There is no, you are going to get sick, and this is going to be the illness, and this is going to be the symptoms. We know some of it, but as you can see, it varied from person to person. And those variances didn't have to do necessarily with one or two things. It was a combination of your life's experiences that led you to the symptoms that you would be experiencing. For example, internationally, 90% of all COVID hospitalizations were on obese patients with obesity in their charts. 90%. That is huge, based on an illness that is not as a defined illness. It is something that we as humans put onto ourselves. It's not something that we're born with. Another staggering statistic that I found in my studies is that of the hospitalizations that did occur, those patients not only had obesity, but they also suffered from on average, 4 other comorbidities. Comorbidities are hypertension, diabetes, cardiac illness, and other such things. So all of these things that stack in your life, and you continue to take on stress, and you continue to eat a certain way, and you continue to forget about meditation, and you forget about exercise, you forget about overall wellness, these are going to bring on disease. And over time, that disease is going to start shutting down parts of your body, so that when something like a cold or a flu or in this case, a pandemic, something very serious as a virus comes, you're not ready. Your body is not ready because it's shut, because it's so busy trying to fight these other diseases constantly. So what we want to do is use everything within ourselves and everything that we know about food to stay healthy. It doesn't mean that if you're not healthy, you can't become healthy. It doesn't mean if you are healthy, you can't become unhealthy. This is a constant, and we need to focus on these things. And more than ever, we need to go back to the simple ways of creating our health. If you don't make time for your wellness, you'll be forced to make time for your illness. So what you eat has a great effect on your overall health. So we know that research shows that there's dietary habits that influence disease risk. So certain foods will increase your chronic health conditions, such as fried food, processed food, certain types of sugars, certain types of oils, which we're going to talk about. And then there's other foods that are going to help promote wellness, such as things that we know that come specifically from our culture. I sit in the United States, and everybody here goes crazy over our culture, our food, our dance, our clothing. They love it. But most importantly, our way of life. The Ayurvedic way of life is one of the most important foundations that you can build health on. Turmeric and curcumin are one of the most, for example, healing benefits in our body. It's anti-inflammatory, and that's just one of the key benefits. Anti-inflammatory for your joints, for the tissue in your system, for everything. And that's something that we use in our food every day. So long as we're eating it at home and we know what we're putting in it, it is very, very healthy. So this is some interesting data that we gathered as a team here. And as you can see, the top 8 causes of death currently are staggering in cardiovascular and chronic respiratory and cancer. And unfortunately, with cancer, what we're starting to see is that it's caused by nutrition and gut microbiome issues that then travel into other parts of the body. Now, that's not all forms of cancer. I'm speaking more about the cancer that shows up in later stages of life, not childhood cancers like leukemia. And as you can see, the issues that used to affect us a lot are actually lower than cardiovascular. So tuberculosis, which has always been an issue, is less than cardiovascular disease and chronic respiratory. We're noticing that respiratory disease is caused by obesity. It's caused by just extra weight, and then that issue that we have against our chest that we can't breathe. What's interesting here is digestive diseases on the bottom. Over time, processed food over time will actually start to break down the digestive enzymes in your stomach. So we see a lot of instances of acid reflux. Acid reflux is a part of your throat, and Dr. Smriti will be able to explain this much better than me, but you actually have acid that's coming up. It's no longer staying down because your system is malfunctioning. This is happening because of the foods we eat and the way we're eating the foods, because that makes a difference too. Today, I'm going to give some simple tips that you can do in your house and some simple products that you can take to help you get over these types of things quite naturally before you actually have to go and be put on an IV or be put into the hospital. My most interesting thought here is the neurological disorders. Well, why neurological disorders? We're going to talk about the gut and the brain. Science is now showing that your gut is like your second brain, if not your first brain. Here where I start to think analytically, fear, love, compassion, anxiety, everything that comes here in my conscious is not as strong as what starts in my stomach. That's where my disease starts. That's where my health can start, because our enzymes actually create the cells of our body. What you eat, you become, is a very true statement. Everything that we eat turns into our physical being. We shed our skin every, I think it's 300 and something days. Well, what regrows onto our body is everything that we're digesting. That's what's giving growth. So, yes.
Shelley, just a very interesting point when you were talking about digestive diseases. And just 2 days ago, we were talking, Dr. Sharad was talking about the gut and brain connection. And what we understand that the root cause of disease or the origin of disease is from our digestive system or
Yes.
our gut health, right? And that also due to improper eating, not eating healthy food, not eating on time, the quantity, the quality, so many factors, which eventually lead to, that microbiome you talked about. And that's where, the brain also gets into stress, and then we are not able to perform, right? Our aging process also becoming faster, right? It's actually impacting on our healthy aging somewhere. And what you
Absolutely.
listed on the screen, the cardiovascular, chronic, respiratory. Well, of course, there are. I do not know if you can just help understand the inflammatory conditions which occur in the body, which lead to many chronic diseases. Is
Yes.
also the digestive system is a problem? Is the origin of that?
Yes, absolutely. So when you see in there's certain diseases where in the stomach, your stomach is enlarged and it's hard. If you've ever seen patients come in this way where they have a stomach that's actually hard, that is not a point of being full. That is not even excess fat, because if it's excess fat or succoneous fat, it's going to sit and feel soft. When it's hard, this is chronic inflammation, and this is caused by excessive drinking. This is caused by fried food. This is caused by your enzymes having so much kind of junk sitting on them that they can no longer fire up. Our system, our digestive system, we have these enzymes that are literally alive in our stomach. So when the food comes in, they're open so the nutrients can go into the bloodstream where they need to and digest, and all the toxins can eliminate. But what happens is the more and more we have stress, the more and more we're drinking and using other very high acidic or low acidic, not alkaline food, what we're doing is we're shutting that down. So everything's just going into the rest of the body. Now it's going into your liver and your kidneys, and your organs are having to do more than they're used to in their job. That puts the body under stress. That puts the mind, then the mind gets under stress because you're always in pain. Nobody wants to be uncomfortable. And when your swollen hands and your ankles are swollen and you have gout from diabetes, it's just illness, inflammatory, illness, inflammatory.
Very right.
100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
On top of it, the pesticide residue, right? The aflatoxins or the insecticides.
yes.
So that is also somewhere responsible for, increased number of digestive related diseases.
The two biggest things.
Of heavy metals deposits in the
Yes.
body. So somewhere they're also impacting on the gut lining. And so I was trying to reflect on last few days discussion that this is a very serious issue, the digestive process that leads to obesity, as you rightly said, 90% COVID patients.
Obesity.
Right? Yeah.
And obesity doesn't mean heavily overweight. It just means more than your body can handle. Your body is built on a bone system and a muscular skeletal system. So you get to that point. See, this is the perfect segue into flight or fight response. When we have a healthy body, no matter what, healthy or ill, your body has two ways it can go when caused, and this is coming from the 1700s, 1600s. We are hunters. So we lived in a primal state, and this is the science that's coming out now. Back 100 years, 1,000 years ago, we had to find our food. We had to make our food. It was a very different system than the way we are now, living in a very established environment. And so we were always either going to be eaten or needed to find food to eat. So that is where the flight or fight response came in the body. Now our bodies over time is adjusting to the environment around us, but when you're ill, your body's either going to fight or flight. And the more we don't take care of our body, we go into this flight mode where you're shutting down instead of having the ability and the strength to fight. And that starts in the gut. And we're going to get right into that as well.
No, no, very true, very true. In fact, Dr. MC Mishra the other day said very interesting. He said that one should eat one third, double the exercise, and triple the exercise, three times
Yes,
the exercise. And always,
absolutely.
also he talked about that when you are eating solid, you should convert that into liquid for facilitation the digestive. When you take liquid, you take liquid like eating, right?
Like eating.
Like
Yes.
eating. And the third, he says that, yeah, I mean, always making sure that you don't get out with any negative environment around you when you are enjoying your food,
Yes.
because it
Yes.
also impacts the vibrations or the feelings or the thoughts. They also go into, and the whole purpose of the nutrition or the food, the purpose of our body, living body, gets challenged.
Exactly. So that's actually a great point, because if we're watching something while we're eating, not only are we taking in that emotion of them, but we're no longer focusing on what's in our mouth and what we're chewing. We go on autopilot. This is the unfortunate part of our subconscious. Our subconscious will go right into that TV show or right onto our phones with what we're scrolling. And then, of course, if we're on social media, there's all these other mental illness problems that are coming from jealousy and anxiety and competition. Now when I'm eating, I'm not chewing properly. I may see something that shocks me and I might not chew that piece and it'll go into my system. I'm now making more work. They say when you want to eat, you chew your food 7 to 20 times, depending on what it is. That is for two reasons. One, so that it's less work for your stomach to further break it down. And two, to actually pull all the nutrients out of what we're eating. Also, speaking about that, what we put in our mouth is very, 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 very important. You want to live the most wholesome life you can. My advice, especially when I'm talking to patients who have illness, is walk around the outside of your grocery store, or if you're at the fruit market in India, great. You have fruits and vegetable markets, fantastic. We don't have that luxury here. Unfortunately, we have these huge superstores, and all the aisles in between them are just boxes of food. If your food comes in a box, it's most likely not going to be healthy. If it's on the shelf, but when you cook it, you only have 2 or 3 days to eat it, but it can sit on a shelf for 6 months, that's telling you that it's not healthy. There's something in that food, and we're going to talk about those chemicals, that is making it able to sit on a shelf. Now, I'm not talking about rice and your basic staples. Those are grains and those are dried the way they should be. I'm speaking about the dried pastas that are on there, potato chips, things that are sitting there. On the back of a label, you always want to read your ingredients, not the nutrition panel. And this is where a lot of people get confused. We live in a world where people want to look a certain way, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you are healthy. What is important is what I'm putting in my mouth, not how many calories are there. The calories are secondary. If I don't understand the ingredients on my label, then I should not be eating that food. If I cannot pronounce those things because they're chemicals and they're 20 words long, some scientific, chemical preservative, then I should not be eating that food. So some examples of what gut destroyers, and when we talk about destroyers, this is what actually kills down your digestive enzymes. This is what starts to cause your acid reflux. This is what starts to cause chronic inflammation in the gut. This is what then leads to colon cancer. This is what then leads to ulcers. This is what then leads to obesity, which leads to weight gains, which leads to hernias. All these things right there happen just from eating poorly. Can we reverse it? Absolutely. In order to reverse, we need to become aware. So our gut destroyers, sugar, white sugar, is probably, from my point of view, one of the worst things that could have come out. And actually, number 1 and number 2 and 3 are all linked. Food is our health. Food is also a business. It is our job to understand what we need to put into our body. This is our temple. And so when we look at sugar, I'm not saying don't. I love sugar. I have a sweet tooth. But stay away from anything packaged or refined. The best type of sugar that you're going to have is gur or jaggery. The purest form is always the best. If you can get honey that's not processed, which most can, these would be your best. Honey, gur. You can put this in your tea. You should have very, very, very little bit. Usually a serving is 1 teaspoon. Now, let me give you an example of how much sugar is in something that you don't realize. 1 can of Coca-Cola has 28 packets of sugar in it. 1 can. Imagine if you were to take 28 packets of sugar that you get at the coffee shop, put them into a cup, and try and drink that. You wouldn't be able to. So how can I digest that much sugar without going into shock and shocking my system? Well, now there's other chemicals that have been added, and those chemicals are actually added to change the taste so that as you're drinking it, you're enjoying the flavor. See, I have worked for many food companies and I appreciate the nutritional side of it, but things like Coca-Cola and sort of junk food category are created based on the science of your taste buds. So let us stick with anything that is from earth. If it's had to go through a factory to be processed, it's not usually going to be good unless it's being cleaned in that factory. So stay away from your white sugars, stay away from your syrups, stay away from your vanilla syrups and pumpkin syrups and everything else you're getting in your coffees and your whipped cream. All of that is white sugar, and focus on jaggery, gourd, or honey. Start replacing your honey in it. For seed oils, it's very interesting that this is something that's come out recently. Seed oils such as sunflower, vegetable oil, these are actually made with seed, and these cause chronic inflammation in the gut. Again, I'm sticking everything into the stomach because the stomach then sends out signals to the rest of the body on what needs to happen. So we want to stay away from anything that is a seed oil, a canola oil, a sunflower oil, a vegetable oil. Where do we find these? We find these in the French fries that we buy. We find these in any of those outside restaurants because they are very inexpensive oils. But that doesn't mean that they're good for you. Some of the best oils you can use to cook with, especially because you want to cook at a high heat, is ghee and coconut oil. Again, everything is about as close to earth. Ghee is not refined. You can make it yourself at home if you'd like, and that is why it's pure. Coconut oil is a single ingredient, single source, and has a very, very, very high burn rate, and so it's healthy for you. If you have the ability and can use olive oil, extra virgin olive oil is phenomenal. It's not considered a seed oil, but it's great. You want to keep it at a cooler temperature and pour it onto your salads, but it's absolutely fantastic for you. So again, seed oil, stay away from any sort of canola oil, vegetable oil, sunflower oil. Focus on ghee, focus on coconut oil, focus on olive oil. The third is high fructose corn syrup. This is essentially found in anything sweet that you eat, anything, your pastries and your candies and your chocolates. And this is one of the most deadliest crops of food that we can eat. And I say that truthfully. It is made from corn. So not only is this turned into a high fructose, which means a very high sugar content level, but it's coming from a grain that is non-GMO, which means it's not organic. So it's also sprayed with those pesticides and those herbicides that we're talking about. And then that's put into a syrup, and that syrup is used in everything. Your ketchup has high fructose corn syrup in it. Your your sweeteners have high fructose corn syrup in it. Your cookies have high fructose corn syrup. What can we do? If we can't eliminate, minimize. If you're traveling and that's the only option you have, and you look at the ingredients and you see it, then start to look at what else can I eat? Can I have a piece of fruit instead because I'm hungry? Or minimize the amount that you're eating. All of these things will affect you, and they do affect you. Trans fat is exactly what it sounds like. Any high fat foods, especially meats, deep fried, anything on the fatty side of it. I'm going to stay with that. It's mainly meats. We understand that there's fat in all of the processed food, but try and eat a balanced diet. Try and have with every meal some protein, whether it be chicken if you're non-veg, or chickpeas and dal if you're veg. Have a little bit of rice. For rice, you want to do between a half a cup to 3/4 of a cup of rice with your food per serving, not a plate full of rice. Portion size matters, and you want to look at what's basically on your hand to guide you. And no matter what, with every meal, if you start to include 1 cup of vegetables, it doesn't matter the vegetable, 1 cup of vegetables, you are going to win in health. And what we always say is eat the rainbow. So as bright as you can make those 1 cup of vegetables, have bell peppers, have onions, have mushrooms, have bindi, okra, have anything that you, zucchini that you can find, mix it all together with a little bit of garlic, ginger, some spices. We'll get to spices and you'll learn how important those are, not just for flavor, but for your health. Mix that together and have your meal. If I can make a chana with a little bit of rice or quinoa and something like a salad or a warm sabji or a soup, which I recommend making soup and having that for 1 or 2 days every week, you're going to be in your best health. Your body is going to feel nourished. You're giving it whole, wholesome, clean food. It doesn't have sugar. It's not going to be made with seed oils. There's no corn syrup in it. And you can decide how much fat based on what you're putting in it. Refined carbs are another one that we want to stay away from. Refined carb is anything that is processed. So I'm not a fan of white bread. I don't think it has a place. I'm not saying it's bad for you. If you go to Europe, white bread is the best because they make it differently. But processed bread, again, because of the chemicals we use when we grow this. So what you need to understand about food is when we grow it from our soil, we have to start with what's in that soil. Then we have to look at our seed. And then we have to think about what do we put with that? What are we giving for water? What are we giving for light? What are we giving for nutrition to that plant? And then when we cut it down, how are we processing that plant? All these steps are part of the health cycle of that. And so with a product like wheat, you are most likely getting that wheat that has pesticides and herbicides on it. And I've got some statistics on what's happening right now with pesticides, herbicides, and cancer rates. And then you also have a refined carb always has a sugar matched to it. And that's where diabetes comes from. The more you're going to eat these refined carbs and these sugars, the more your body is going to build a resistance. It's called insulin resistance. And many of you, I'm sure, have heard of it. And once we start to build an intolerance, which means our body can no longer convert the nutrients or pull the nutrients and convert it into health into our system, it holds on to the insulin. Then our blood sugar comes up. You know, we're all testing our blood sugar on our fingers. Once that goes up, now you're talking about chronic inflammation, and you'll see it physically. You'll see chronic inflammation in your cheeks. When I see patients, I'll be able to tell what their liver looks like from drinking under their eyes, what their inflammation looks like on their face, whether they're dealing with diabetes or anything else by their knuckles and by their ankles. Just by looking at someone, if you're trained the right way, you can see the health of their body. So we want to stay away from anything that is refined, especially carbs. Stay with whole wheat. If you're making roti at home, I make a roti where I do half oat, half whole wheat, or I'll do besan and oat flour. Anything that is not white, Mehta, we want to stay away from. It's fine once in a while. On a Saturday night, go have a party and have a piece of naan or something, that's fine, or have a pastry, that's fine. But where you can, go to the source, go to single ingredient food. That's why I choose oat flour. It's just pressed oat. And I look for something that is least processed. If I can get it directly from the market, I will. These last two are on my X list. As far away as you can stay from them, there's no excuse to ever have them. The last one we'll talk about is unfortunate. It's in all of our food. But let's start with aspartame. Aspartame came out as a dietary supplement many years ago, I believe in the late 80s. Aspartame came out as a sweetener, the first sweetener. So if you've heard of Sweet and Low, if you've heard of Splenda, those are sweeteners. And they're in all of your diet sodas. So now someone can say, but Shelley, 28 grams of sugar in my Coca-Cola, no problem. I'm gonna have diet where it has 2 grams. But it's aspartame, and aspartame has been caused to create tumors in the brain. And this is something that we found in some of the animal studies that we've done. And now that it's been in the market long enough, we're starting to see it in humans. So the rates of cancer have increased 451% since the inception of aspartame, 451% from something that's good for you. Because again, it is a chemical. And the way we are created, the way our DNA is, the way our ancestors are, everything we need to nourish our bodies comes from the ground, not from a factory. So we want to stay away. There's no excuse. You stay away from anything that says diet. The minute it has a sweetener, you're better off. Get honey, gourd, very little bit is better than having this much aspartame. Aspartame 100% is a chemical. It is not good for you, especially for children. Now, when we talk about diet soda, we like to give that to our kids thinking it's better than sugar. We're now linking ADD, attention deficit. We're starting to see the link between aspartame in young children and the way it actually starts to kill their brain levels, their EPA, DHA levels in their system, and it's causing issues in concentration for these children. So trust me when I say this is something, put it on your fridge in your house. Don't allow anything with aspartame to come in. And the last one is glyphosate. You're not going to hear about this on food. You won't read this on anything. This is one of the most unfortunate chemicals to come in our food, but we're going to show you a way, a very simple way. Glyphosate is an herbicide that was created to kill the pests on the plants. So when you're growing and farming, the bugs are the biggest reason that you can have disease in a crop, and then the crop can die and the farmer will lose. And we're seeing the farmers already what they're going through. Glyphosate came out maybe 2 decades ago, and it was supposed to be the best thing ever because it made every crop uniform and unique. It made sure there's no pests, so every crop was healthy. 20 years later, we're seeing that even the farmers who were spraying those crops now have cancer, skin cancer from the spray. We're seeing an increase in cancers and chronic autoimmune disease, which means your body is shutting down in various ways because of glyphosate. The only product that glyphosate is not on is anything that is organic. And unfortunately, not everything comes organic. 99% of your processed food is non-organic. 100% of what you're eating in a restaurant, unless the restaurant has an organic stamp, which then it'll be a specialty, is non-organic. So every time we're eating, you're not only eating the food, and if it's already junk food, you're eating a seed oil, you're eating a sugar, you have high fructose corn syrup, trans fat, a carb, but you also unfortunately probably have the chemical that was sprayed on that plant. So now what do? The best thing to do is to wash your fruits and vegetables when you bring them home. So as soon as you have your vegetables, fill a basin container or sink with water and put all your vegetables in and soak them, and use grape seed oil that you can buy anywhere and a few drops of that in the water, and let your fruits and vegetables sit in that water. What it does is it breaks down the wax coating as well as any of those harsh chemicals on it. And then you can rinse your food and eat it. So these are all really important things that are gut destroyers. The causes that happen from this are obesity, diabetes, hypertension, cardiac illness. And then what comes from those diseases? These are diseases, but what are the symptoms? Migraines, gout, joint pain, hemorrhaging, ulcers. One thing that's not on here is alcohol. Alcohol is something you should stay away from. If you're going to have alcohol, keep your consumption to 1 to 2 glasses in a week. Try and keep it to something that's natural, like a wine or something else. Try and stay away from beer. Beer, again, has refined carbs in it because it uses wheat. So your best life to live is that of an Ayurvedic one. It's a 4,000-year-old history that talks about your warming foods and your cold foods. But with every meal, have protein. Look at your plate. Do I have protein? Do I have a healthy carbohydrate like rice or quinoa? Do I have a dal or a chickpea or chicken? And do I have 1 cup of some beautiful vegetables, whether it's raw or cooked, on my plate at every meal? For breakfast, have oats, add fruit, have an egg white omelet, 1 egg white, and add all your vegetables and mix it in. And then add the best thing on top: turmeric, black pepper, garlic, onion. All the spices that we're known for are so important to our diet. They are what help us with our chronic inflammation. We think that everything is about spice, but if you look at the science of Ayurveda, you'll see that those spices and the order in which they're put into our food are not just for flavor, they're actually there for a reason. Our ancestors knew better than we did, actually, and they created our food in a way that is nourishing and healing. That's why if you follow an Ayurvedic diet and understand that you need to eat with the seasons, you're going to eat the freshest food. Follow the seasons. If it's not grown at that time of the year, I shouldn't eat it. My body will respect it. Now, if we start to remove these foods from our diet slowly, then what's going to happen is your body is going to wake up again. There's something called a metabolic heart rate. Your metabolic age rate. I can be 25 years old, but I could be eating junk food every day in university, and my actual metabolic age could be 30. And this is a true thing. That's why we see people passing away when they're so young, because they have all these other issues, because they've been eating in a state that puts their body in chronic illness, and it just shuts down and can't take it. So you start to see stroke. We're starting to see stroke in young men, especially in their early 30s, due to hypertension, stress from the new job, stress from a new family. And then, of course, I'm drinking, I'm smoking cigarettes, and I'm eating. These things have to go. The best thing we can do for our body. And let me tell you, when you eat well, you feel well. I wake up at 3 o'clock for this today, but on average, I wake up at 4 in the morning, and we meditate and we journal and we think about how we want to set our intention for the day. The same thing I do in my mind is the same thing we do in our stomach. When we eat, we set the intention for the day that I'm going to fill this up with goodness the way I've just filled my mind with positivity. Because the stomach, the gut, and the brain. So remember what I said, mental illness is coming. So Alzheimer's disease, they're now finding the direct link of diet to Alzheimer's. This is groundbreaking information because there is no medicine for Alzheimer's, but they're starting to see the high instance of certain oils like MCT oil will actually help with certain parts of the brain and the neurochemicals that we need. It won't eliminate Alzheimer's, but it will slow the progression with having very, very, very high medium chain triglycerides, things that you can find in your coconut oil or your MCT oil specifically. So here in the US, we all drink, our bulletproof coffee, where we take coffee, we add a little bit of oil, MCT oil specifically, medium chain triglyceride. It does two things. It's fantastic for our brain. It's the high fat a good fat that our brain needs to use. And it makes us feel full because it's actually coating our system, but it's all very good for us. So when I feel full, I feel great, but I don't feel stuffed. I don't feel sick. And the more I eat well, the less chance I have for things like Alzheimer's, the less chance my children will have issues of ADD. We're seeing ADD a lot. We're now seeing higher instances of autism in children. And that is directly linked to your brain health, which is directly linked to your gut health. So it's a full circle. Just like our life is a full circle, we have to start treating our bodies the same way. I love convenience. If I could eat a hamburger every day or a chicken burger every day for the rest of my life, I would. Who wouldn't? Taste great. But know that it's made to taste great. It's made to trick you. If you can sit at home and make a good meal and eat that meal, there's nothing better. So now let's talk about how we get off these illnesses. And then I want to talk a little bit about some things that can help with staying that way. So if you are the best way, if you're ready to change, I would say go on what's called an elimination diet. I'm going to ask you for 21 days and I'll provide some tools into the WOW community in the next coming weeks. Maybe we can start, if you guys want to do some sort of elimination diet exercise, a 21-day kind of group change your way, let us know in the group and we can put that together. I do an elimination diet twice a year in the fall, so it's coming up next month. Actually, it's September, so mid this month, and in the spring. For 21 days, no sugar, no refined carbs, so no eating out whatsoever. Completely eliminate alcohol if you have it. So basically no sugar, no carbs. Alcohol is a sugar. And you want to make sure that you're adding exercise. So at least 20 to 30 minutes every day, even if it's a brisk walk, or if you can do yoga, or if you can do a home workout. The best part of the pandemic is there's home exercises now on every piece of social media. But you eliminate for 21 days. If you can stop for 21 days, let me tell you, your dynamic on your tongue, your chemicals actually change. Your cravings stop. The body takes 21 days to create a new habit. So we say 3 weeks for you to do the elimination diet, remove all these things, and start to eat in a holistic way: protein, carbs, fruits and vegetables. If we can start to do that for 21 days, you will actually see your energy increase. You won't need to wake up and run for coffee in the morning. You won't need the pastry to get your day started because your body is getting used to using the food that you ate for dinner to be your fuel in the morning, using your fuel at breakfast to get you through to lunch. Your body will be consistently in an alkaline state versus spiking with the sugar high and then dropping when the sugar runs out so that you have to go reach for a coffee or another pastry and then dropping. We don't want that. Again, we don't want to stress our body. Now, COVID has hit very, very, very hard. And the reason we started this talk was some of these diseases. What we're starting to see in some of the studies now is post-COVID illness, and that's a respiratory. What you want to ensure is that you have lung capacity, and you want to ensure that your brain is actually functioning properly, because what's happened is the gray matter, which is the living matter in your brain, after COVID, unfortunately, we're starting to see more gray matter in the brain, which means just less thinking, you know? So for any of you who have had COVID, you may have some moments where you don't remember, you don't have the memory there, or you lose your train of thought, or you're very foggy, you know, everything's clear, but nothing's clear. It's not you, it's your food, and unfortunately, it's the illness. So removing these things from your diet, that's one big step. And two, getting your gut back on track. When your doctor prescribes medicine, they prescribe you a probiotic with every antibiotic. That's to keep your gut microbiome going. So we say the same thing, have dahi every day. Take a probiotic every day. Take an immunity support or a gut support so that your stomach enzymes can start to stay strong. And then make sure you're taking something for your respiratory. Your lungs are hit the hardest with COVID. And so we want to make sure that we're taking care of our gut and taking care of our lung system. So if you're looking for a preventative, I would say the immunity pack is one of my favorite. It is everything that you need. Again, we've got the turmeric in there, which that curcumin quantity is amazing, proven to reduce inflammation in the body and the gut, most importantly. We also have ashwagandha, which is one of my favorite herbs. Everyone should be taking it, women especially, because we have a lot of instances of reproductive issues in India right now. And ashwagandha balances the hormones and actually balances the mood. So naturally gives you a very calm feeling. And then of course, the Gudmori and the Rest Boss are both going to help you with your digestive system, and again, with your breathing, especially with some of the environmental issues we have with smog, and we deal with it here. I'm in California, and Los Angeles is quite smoggy. You want to make sure that your lung capacity stays strong. Again, exercise and Rest Boss. And if you are recovering from COVID, remember, it is an illness. Let your body heal. And I would recommend taking care of your gut and taking care of your lungs first. Get yourself back up and make sure you remove all of those ingredients that I spoke about before. No sugar. Get rid of anything that's packaged. If I can't pronounce it, don't eat it. Eat at the right times. If you've been listening to this week's worth of events, you want to eat breakfast, lunch, dinner, and 2 snacks. I eat 5 to 6 meals a day. I don't skip food. I love food. It's not about skipping your food to be healthier, to be fit. It's about eating the right food, nourishing food. And if you're interested in doing a 21-day elimination diet, let us know in the Facebook group, and we'll put out some tools for you to help you get through it. And we could start a little chat in there. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have about what foods you should be eating, what foods you shouldn't be eating during that time. And we can provide you with a supplement regimen of what additional supplements you should be taking to get you in tip-top shape for the winter season. So we can enjoy, I guess, wedding season, hopefully, as it's coming back now. And so thank you.
Thank you so much, Shelley. It's really mesmerizing, very energizing, very inspiring. What you spoke about, so practical. And the most impressive part, which came out, is that 21 days elimination diet. Very true. And it's also a fact that what we know, that body has so much of energy, which we forgot to unlock. And this is something which the 21 days elimination diet can help us to bring back that energy. And probably that's where all the body organs, they will start dancing. They will start loving each other more. Otherwise, they get into different tangent because of unhealthy habits, whether it is not doing a sedentary lifestyle or not eating quality food or not eating on time, etc. And the most revealing thing what you talk about, as an example, the beverages, what we consume without knowing that what they carry behind, like Coca-Cola, or for that matter, the diet soda, etc. So I think these are so important, so relevant, and probably when you spoke about the inflammatory diseases, and that's where we do not know. Unknowingly, they get inside our body, and over a period of time, they become chronic in nature. By the time it gets too late at that point of time. So probably in order to arrest these problems or to reverse or to slow down, I think your idea of 21 days elimination diet is actually a very important, very learned message, which should go. And then what you spoke about, the gut destroyers, I think this should be hanged in the kitchen, right? That what are the gut destroyer? Because we believe that kitchen is the real clinic. And if we can put these things, reminding us on a daily basis, probably we can avoid many mistakes which we happen to do. So I think the viewers, they must have loved your discussion, and I wish that you keep talking, because it's so interesting, exciting. And then another very important, you said that nature has given us so much vegetables and so many colors. So it's a rainbow, of vegetables. If we include as part of our daily dietary system, probably we have taken all the needed nutrients.
Correct.
Right, which we otherwise, miss out. And probably then there is no scope. In fact, one thought coming in, and since you are in US, and I know people over there, they are habituated a lot, taking a lot of, cola drinks and so on. Probably like in a pack of cigarette, it is written injurious to health, or even now
Right.
in pantoprazole also they write pen-D and pen-40, we take it, to avoid the acid reflux, that it can harm the kidney. Why not these beverages should also have some message, so that at least, or even the packaged food, sometimes what is declared as nutritional information, in fact, there has to be some message which should be made very loud and clear. And since you are part of the FDA also there, somewhere connected, I think these become so relevant and important, looking at where trillions of dollars are getting spent on healthcare, which probably can become very productive, provided these things are placed, properly, and people are better aware of all these things. Yeah,
it really is about the awareness, and you gave a perfect, one further example is we're actually doing petitioning right now here in the US. There is a red dye number 6. It means nothing, but it's in food here in the US. It has been banned in cosmetics since 1990 because it causes cancer, but is still available in our packaged food, like the children's waffles, Pop-Tarts. So imagine, this has been banned in cosmetics since 1990, and it is still available in the food that we, more importantly, feed to our children, because that's the fast to go food. So when they're not looking out for us, then we need to look inside and go, what feels good, what doesn't? Not just do we want to read labels, but part of this, our 21-day elimination diet, if you want to know where your cause of your pain is, keep a food journal. And with that food journal, 30 minutes after you eat something, if you don't feel good, or however you feel in the day, you wake up foggy, write that down. This morning I woke up a little foggy, then I had my chai, then I had my biscuit, then I had this. Oh, I've not been able to use the washroom for 2 days. Oh, this, I'm going to get technical, I'm a nutritionist, but we ask you these questions. How are you feeling? We don't ask because we're curious. We ask because they lead to your health. If I'm waking up foggy, now I can look at my journal from the night before and go, what did I eat for dinner that may have caused this? And we can start to really look at our health and go, oh, that doesn't make me feel good anymore. I need to stop drinking that soda. I need to stop eating those chips or those cookies. Let me replace that now with something that's warm and good for me, like yogurt or chia pudding, or there's so many recipes that we can do from just the comfort of our home. Our diet, our Ayurvedic diet, is still one of the best, and there's restaurants in the US minting off of Ayurvedic lifestyle with the US population.
Yeah.
Right?
No, very true, very true, very true. And I think another very interesting, and which in fact came up in an earlier discussion also, that discipline, meaning thereby that you get up in the morning hours, not when the sun is already up in the sky. You have to make a habit of getting up at if not 5:30 or something. What you talked about 4 o'clock. In fact, my habit is exactly the same. I mentioned that irrespective, I wake up at 3:30, quarter to 4, sit for meditation, go for a walk, and that's how the day starts. So that itself gives so much of energy, and a much more clear focus, concentration, what you really need to do. And I think the last comment before I invite Dr. Smriti to share her words of wisdom, that before the gut becomes gutter, otherwise, we would end up with suffer. So
yes.
what you said, the gut destroyer, is a very important, very, very important message. Thank you so much, Shelley. And I'm sure after Dr. Smriti speaks, would like to have your last final word before we conclude this session. It is, thank you so much. It was a fabulous discussion. Dr. Smriti, over to you.
Thank you.
Let me just tell that the viewers, Dr. Smriti had a very bad, tough cold this morning when she came. And though it was not, she is a doctor and particularly done PhD in COPD, which is chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. And it was, my suggestion to her how she can come out of this. And today, right now, she is in the position to talk. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Anil sir. And very truly, he said that early in the morning, I was nowhere in the position to talk. And I came with a very disheartened heart that, sir, I may not be able to take this talk by the evening. But he was confident enough. He asked me to take a strong adrak, which is a ginger tea, twice before coming to the session, and he was confident enough that my throat will be 100% in a form to speak. And thank you, sir, that it actually worked, that I am in a position and I am over this session. And thank you, Dr. Shelley. As I said, for me, you were always doctor because of your immense pool of knowledge. And going to it, I completely agree with the concept that food is definitely a medicine. Although from a scientific medical background, I still believe that there is a nutritional diet which needs to be aware about, the people should be aware about, and a complete balanced diet, so that the chronic diseases which we are getting into, so much of new diseases, new terminologies, new medicinal concepts, that what are we getting through. So there's a lot of balanced awareness diet which should be there for some people. And in India, definitely, like there is still a concept of home cooked food, but due to our sedentary lifestyle and our lifestyle of less of physical activities and poor sleeping patterns, stress, anxiety, the complete sleeping pattern has been changed over. And what I believe, that we are the one, the way we customize our dressing sense, the way we customize our career, there should be a concept of customizing our plates. And our plates should be something which has to be, the rich of a portion of a complete nutritional diet. So when I talk about the completely nutritional diet, so people generally believe that we should be rich with carbohydrate, protein, fatty acid, vitamins, but we do lack with the terminologies which are known as micronutrients. And I would believe that Shelley would definitely agree with me that micronutrient is something which we and people are not actually aware about. Like our body do need some amount of magnesium, our body do need some amount of calcium, our body do need some amount of you believe so may zinc. And zinc was, when I, during this pandemic, there were a lot of people which were coming to me and asking like, why zinc is important for us. We have never heard about taking zinc in our diet, and all of a sudden doctors are recommending and advising to take vitamin C or the zinc tablets. So there is something, yes, zinc is something which is required by the body for building up immunity. So people in India or all over the world are short of awareness about the micronutrients. And I believe that the sense of fashion which is coming up to be aware about the nutritional diet or to the micronutrients requirement. So there is a lot of awareness which people need to be know. And like for example, even I was like couple of weeks ago, before I was talking with some of the friends, and in India it's a rainy season, and they are complaining that we are getting a lot of hair fall, our skin is getting affected because of the rain, a lot of dandruff, lot of dermatologist issues are coming about. And then I said that dermatologist issues are only about the deficiency of vitamin B2 by vitamin B3. Your body needs the diet which is full of niacin. Your body needs take some dry fruit, take some cashew, take some almonds. But then people used to give some blank expressions that they were never even aware about, like this vitamin B2 and B3 are so important that they can actually cause the scalping of the heads and the dandruff which is falling on our shoulders. So there is something which is definitely some awareness programs, some educational concept has to come across the world where people can know why the nutritional rich diet is one more important. To me, another raising concept in which the Shelley completely said that reading the ingredients, reading the labels before buying the products. As in India also, we are moving more toward the Western culture, and we are getting more dependent upon ready to eat food, processed food, getting into the big supermarkets and getting into the big stores. And we are looking forward for the shelves where we are having the foods which we can store it for long. We are looking forward for the processed food that we can just take it, and even like the teenagers or the college going, the sedentary lifestyles are making us more towards the junk foods. So the amount of calories which we are intaking, the amount of glycophosphate, as she rightly says, the content which is over the food crops by used by the farmers is getting so intensively used that yes, they are creating a disbalance in our body, creating a malfunctioning of various enzymes. Like in our body, magnesium is required by more than 300 of enzymes to work. And nowadays there is a much of a term which is like the newborn infants or the toddlers or the kids are getting a lactose intolerance. And more into this vegan families where to subsidize with the form of protein to get for the dependency of vitamin B12, for the deficiency of vitamin B, we are dependent upon the dairy products. And then we get to know that the kids are lactose intolerant, so they are not why? Because the enzymes are not getting properly function. And why it is not happening, the root cause for any of the disease, let it be any of the lifestyle disease, let it be any kind of chronic disease, we have to understand the importance of nutrition. We have to understand how the food, the spices, the food, vegetables, the fruits are actually important for us. If I talk about the fruits, so there are the people who are concerned, like if we are taking the raw fruits and vegetables from the market and we are eating, so are we sure enough that we are getting right amount of nutrients, right amount of phytochemicals in through that? But the concept is, even if we are not getting the right amount what our body needs, they are subsidizing the level of oxidants and antioxidants ratio in our body. And we know how important the antioxidants requirement in is there. I know that we cannot replace or we cannot immediately ask people to remove the junk food from their diet. It is completely because the lifestyle in which we are getting for it is completely impossible for us. The kids, they are getting more into the need or more into the eating of refined flours. They are more into getting of fried carbs. So we cannot ask them to completely junk it out from there. If they can, nothing is the best out of it. But if they cannot, but at least involve the amount of antioxidant rich diet, so that somewhere down the line you are able to balance of what you are taking and what your body needs to detoxify. Rather than there, in the similar way, we are asking people to get more used to prebiotics, because the gut, the amount is very, very important. As Dr. Sharat Kasarle has also well spoken in his previous session, that gut and the brain have a very, very strong connection. What we eat is what we allow our mind to think. So we have to actually move into the too much of salt, too much of sugar is being asked by a child psychologist to keep them away from the kids, so that the more of the aggression, more of the anxiety which the parents are nowadays complaining a lot because of the demand of the kids, like my kid is getting too much into anger, my kid is having a very, very intolerant behavior, it is into more into aggression. That is only because of the refined carbs, the what amount of salt they are actually taking into their body, the what amount of trans fats they are taking into our body. So we have to somewhere look for a balanced diet, in which if we are not able to reduce, or if we are not able to completely flush out the junk material which we are taking in our body, but at least we are able to balance it off. Like similarly, if people were asking about the oils, they say that vegetable oils concept is very, very prominent in India. There is uh, people would be loving to take 3-4 spoons of vegetable oil while making the food. But then we are asking, just before buying any of the vegetable oil, definitely look into the concept of PUFA and MUFA, like polyunsaturated fatty acid and monounsaturated fatty acid. This is the basic information which the people, before going to any store, before going to any market, should definitely look upon the ingredients before buying. In India, I would rather than making this contradictory statement, we would like to spend 2 minutes to look at the manufacturing date, expiration date, cost for the product. But please do spend 5 minutes to look the ingredients what you are taking into your body. That is more important before looking at the expenses what you are making, because the expenses what you are buying, what you are making to buy that product, is going to cost you much more than what you are going to pay to a doctor. So
Exactly.
please do give some amount of time to the ingredients what you are, at least understand. We are into a world where we can understand what is the basic information about the food we are taking. Like if I talk, people do not even know what is monounsaturated fatty acid. They ask me, shall I buy a vegetable oil which is good with PUFA or which is good with MUFA? So it is a general concept and general awareness which has to be made through the Indian people. To the importance of this nutritional week is people should understand why nutrition is important. So monounsaturated fatty acid is a fat which our body can readily absorb. So rather than getting into any of the vegetable oil, uh, like if I go for a sunflower oil, like if I go for any other vegetable oil which is available in the market, so please look for the oil which are rich with MUFA rather than PUFA, because this monounsaturated fatty acid like MCT oil, coconut oil is one of the healthiest oils which is available in the market. So if you're not able to use it as a vegetable oil, but please make sure that you are taking in a sufficient amount, either in your bulletproof coffee, either in as a fruit salad dressing, so that some amount of good some amount of good fat is going in your body, which can actually mix with your bloodstream, which can quickly absorb by your bloodstream and reaches to the targeted organs. So there is a lot which I can talk about these kind of concepts ki why chromium is important as an why sodium is important in your body, why phosphorus is important in your body. So people do have to understand the importance of these micronutrients, why spices are important. We during this pandemic, we have actually understood, the people in India have it was a very, very basic information which we have to pass on, that why curcumin, why turmeric is important for your diet. People had to believe that curcumin rich diet is something which is going to reduce the inflammation in your body. So but if I talk about this Ayurveda culture, or what our grandmothers used to do, that giving us a spoonful of turmeric, so at that time we have just came out of our roots, and we have forgotten the basic science which has been India as a tradition is lying from thousands of years. So please, if I talk about the spices, it is just not to add the flavor to your food. They do have a certain importance. If I talk about the black pepper allows the turmeric which we are taking in our diet, they increases the absorption. So there is lot of concept behind, like if you are taking, we called as black pepper, cardamom is something which actually helps you to make your digestive enzymes, digestive juices work properly, so that your food can get easily absorbed. Whatever calories you are taking, whatever carbohydrates you are taking, that can be easily absorbed in your body. If I talk more about like why the processed food concept, which is readily growing up or fastening up like anything, people are running behind the beverages, people are running behind the processed food. But do understand that the processed food are very high in sugar, salt, calories. They have they increases your GI, which is glycosilic index, which gives an immediately increase in your insulin level in your body. And once your the energy, I definitely agree that we are dependent upon carbohydrate for energy, but that energy has to be converted. But if it is getting directly converted into the body, the insulin level will completely risen up, and taking this processed food for longer period of time will give the body insulin resistance, which is the main reason behind the diabetes too, which is the reason behind the rising obesity cases, which is the reason behind the rising CVD, cardiovascular diseases. So the trans fat, the high refined flours, the beverages, the soft drinks on which we are getting addicted is the reason behind the top most 8 diseases with which the world is fighting off. So where people have to understand why the food is important, the nutritional rich food is important for our diet. So everything we do not need, like if you visit any doctor, they will generally suggest you that yes, if I talk about the vegan families, they do have a lot of deficiencies for some of the supplements. So they do need the supplements, because if I talk, they are not rich with vitamin B12. If I talk about the females, they after 30, they generally in India are getting into osteoporosis. So for osteoporosis, we are dependent upon the dairy products. But if the dairy products are not in a purified form, we are not getting them directly absorbed in our body. They make no sense to us. They are completely getting washed out or excreted from our human body. So we have to make sure the amount what we are consuming in our body is getting absorbed or not. We have to we have to check with our every body. We have to hear what our body needs, and we can hear our body. We can actually get to know what our body demands, what is the requirement of my body, how I am paying attention towards my body only after, like, if I can check with my metabolic rate. So if it is like we have a body aging which we calculate through the date of birth on which we are born. Then a few days back when I was discussing with Anil sir, he shared with me that there is your health age also, like if I
Biological age and psychological age.
exactly, the logical age. So definitely that is your metabolic age also. And in India we have generally seen an infant or a teenager who is of 17, 18 years old, or even if he's a 21 or 22, they do have a metabolic age of 35 and 38, which clearly is a red signal that the metabolic age is very, very badly affected in the people of India, because of the food what we are taking, because of the missing out the ingredient list, what we have to eat and what we have not to eat. And if we are not able to pay certain attention to that, I completely go on with Dr. Shelley, what she said, that the process of 21 days of elimination or detoxification, whatever terminology would you like to use, please adapt to that methodology in which twice a year we have seen a detoxification process. We sometime I have seen people taking a break from social media, saying that we are going on a break from social media. Sometimes we have said that we need a vacation because we need a break from office. So please, we need your body do needs a break. So do give a body a break for 21 days, twice a year, so that all the hormones, your body cells, your tissue, they rejuvenate themselves. Whatever junk we are feeding in, whatever the activities, the pressure what you are putting out your gut, they actually can get reduced on it. So 21 days detoxification process is very very important phenomena, and 21 days is an sufficient amount to make any habit. So I believe that this 21 as it is well known that logically and psychologically, if you can adapt and you can believe for a 21 days concept, so that is what our body do needs. So this is what I may like to state, that this nutritionally balanced diet, the right portion in your diet is what you need.
Thank you, Dr. Smriti. In fact, when Shelley said and you said about 21 days elimination period, we all have witnessed that. Now, why do I say that? When this 2020 pandemic hit, so we were imprisoned in our house for 2 months, right? And we were eating home food. We were with the family, right? We didn't eat any junk food, except that, and then, we also learned to do physical exercise, some activity at home. And interestingly, the hospital OPDs, they were all shut down, right? Nobody needed to go to the hospital. Nobody needed any, rather people, extended their surgical intervention. They needed, rather it was not required at all. Imagine that this experience we have already lived. Why not we bring this as a practice? And as you rightly said, if we do it twice a year, I think it's going to be an amazing transformation of our body and mind both. It is not just the body. Yes, Shelley, you wanted to say something.
I think, I mean, the whole point, I can tell you that I have a sweet tooth. And when I say I have a sweet tooth, as a child, I was a proper like gold, like I was round. I was round. My whole family was fit, but I found every way. And my whole thing was Mithai. So I would find my way into every day getting into something. We always had cookies. We didn't know any better. And I'm talking back, I'm not going to say my age, but back when I was young, we didn't know any better. And that's actually what got me into nutrition. My father had a heart attack and then had all these illnesses, and I saw him go on medicine. And then from the medicine for his heart, he now has a kidney problem. Then from the kidney medicine, he now has a liver problem. And all these things happen. And I stopped and said, wait a minute. Well, I'm at this age and I already don't feel well. So I went back to school and I became a nutritionist to help him and myself. And the first time I did an elimination diet, after 21 days, I can tell you, I don't think I ever went back to those heights of sugar again in my life. Now, I, of course, will have some sugar throughout the day, but again, it'll be, if I need something, it's a little bit of honey on my toast, or it's jaggery or something. The point is, the more you stop, the more clear you become when you start to eliminate. And that's the best point. In the 21 days that you're eliminating, there's also a reintroduction phase of what you should reintroduce. Once you start to do that, you'll actually see you don't want it. You'll try something all of a sudden and be like, oh, I don't like that anymore, because your chemistry, and Dr. You can 100% agree, your chemistry physically changes in 21 days. The way your enzymes and everything changes. And then if you keep a food journal on top of that, so that when you start to reintroduce and you eat something and like, oh, I don't feel well, or I had brain fog, you now understand what your body is already rejecting. It's just because we're in this constant cycle that we don't pay attention to why my stomach hurts or why I'm bloated after I eat, because I eat and I go back to my office and I work, I don't have time. We have to stop and remember to get back in touch with our intuition. Our body is always talking to us.
Very well said, Shelley. And Smriti rightly pointed out on the micro nutrients. These are again very important, because the body is made of 5 elements, and these minerals, they also play a very important role, and particularly the enzymes, they help in digestive process. So I believe the micro ingredients, they play a very important role in order to, all the organs working in sync. And that is how perhaps, we really do a healthy aging in that process, for that matter. So it's a wonderful discussion, and maybe the final word, Smriti, you would like to say, Shelley, you would like to say before we conclude this session? And I'm sure these kind of knowledge sharing with our experience, practical experience, personal experience, they matter the most rather than, just talking in general, because we are practicing these practices every day, right? Getting up in the morning, eating the right food. And you rightly said that you eat 5 times a day, but what you are eating, right, is something which is so relevant and so important. Keeping the energy level. Uh, I mean, I can vouch for myself. I wake up at 3:34. When I hit the bed at 10 o'clock, right, my energy level is not depleting at all because I have prepared myself. Or I call it, that like we charge our mobile phone. So the battery is fully charged. So in the morning, when we spend 2 hours to our body, right, so we have charged our body completely. And that's how we can really be a very productive, attentive, creative, whatever we say that. So any one of you like to say a final word, and then we can come to end of this session.
I may like to say that yes, please, some people have to start paying attention towards their body. I completely agree with what Shelley has a personal experience that the medicines towards which we are getting more and more inclined. Like if I'm having a headache, people would start taking the 2 medicines or the 2 tablets and started taking with a sip of water and moving ahead for their routine. Please do understand that why your body is having inflammation in your brain or even in your forehead. Understand the concept. If a body is going through any of the inflammation, if you are feeling that you are taking certain food and your gut is not supporting, understand what is happening in your body. Pay attention towards it. In a daytime of 24 hours, rightly said, if we take out an hour or 30 minutes or 45 minutes to understand your body needs, so definitely one would never have to visit a doctor. I, being a myself doctor, say and believe that stay away from the doctor world as much as you can.
Oh, that's wonderful. I agree 100%. There's a time and a place for a doctor. Is, if I've broken something or I need surgery or I need, I have something, then yes, 100%. But otherwise, you should be looking at your fridge and going, is this right? You are what you eat is not just a saying. You turn into the food you ingest. So do you want to be 28 packets of sugar? Or do you want to be the nutrients in fruit? And just my last statement on microorganisms, I've had many conversations with people who are asking me that, what should I do? What should I do? The reason we say eat the rainbow and eat your vegetables is a carrot, for example, is high in beta carotene, which is fantastic for eyesight. But you forget that there's vitamin A and E and C and all these other nutrients that make up that carrot. It's the synergistic blend that Mother Nature knows best, that is made for our body, and no processed food in the world will replicate that. Nothing will be able to replicate what Mother Nature intended us. So anything from that ground, that from the ground or from the trees, that's first and foremost. We always say here, the California joke is, eat the rainbow, but also your Skittles, your bowl of Skittles, or gems is actually berries, strawberries, plums, this, that. Always look to your fruit first. And for those who are trying to make this lifestyle change, just a little tip: keep a snack in your purse or in your briefcase. Keep some almonds there. Take a banana or an apple with you to work. Just keep 2 things. Those are the 2 snacks that I have in the day, but I'll always reach for my nuts midway through the day, and I'll always reach for a fruit or some carrots. I'll keep in my my purse in a little bag. Do that so that you're not running, because the minute we don't take care of our body and we don't eat on time, that's when we need the donut. That's when I need the French fries. That's when I need whatever I can get my hand on, because my energy levels have dropped so much that I need the spike. We want to do this.
Beautiful. Very well said. There are tons of messages which have come out in this session, right from 21 days elimination system, or, Smriti talked about that we should be careful reading the nutritional information on the packaged food, right? Talked about the moving from sedentary lifestyle to, discipline in life. And on top of it, I think one should refrain from those beverages, which are nothing but packets of sugar, which is there, and follow what Mother Nature has given in plenty. I think there is enough, we got to, place these things inside the kitchen somewhere and visit at least 2 or 3 times, morning, evening, to remind yourself before you sit down on a table and take your food. Probably these reminders will help to refine, to transform where we are heading to. Once again, thank you so much. And Shelley, in particularly you, it's five in the morning now. I wonder you're
Now
gonna
go to sleep.
yes. So it's been lovely, and thank you, Smriti. Despite your throat being bad, you could really cover up so well for the viewers. Thank you so much once again. Have a good
Thank
day
you so
ahead.
much.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye-bye.
Bye.